Hey, welcome to this cozy little corner of YouTube. If this is your first time, subscribe and pass this video along. And don't leave me guessing. Tell me where you're watching from. It was early Tuesday when my phone rang. My supervisor asked me to head to the conference room. HR was already seated inside, folder in hand. They informed me the company was restructuring, and my position had been eliminated. Just like that, 6 years of dedication disappeared in a quarter-hour conversation. I drove home in silence, a cardboard box filled with my office things buckled into the passenger seat, and phoned Jenny during the ride. "Hey," I said quietly. "Something happened. I got let go." There was a pause on her end. I expected sympathy. Instead, she asked flatly, "So how are we supposed to cover rent and expenses now?" "I've got a cushion saved up," I replied. "And unemployment should help for a bit. I'm already thinking about what's next." She didn't let me finish. "That's not the point, Blake. I can't be with someone who just loses their job. That kind of thing reflects badly." Her words hit like a punch to the chest. That evening, we sat facing each other at a cozy Italian bistro we used to frequent. She'd done her hair and makeup like she was auditioning for something. The waiter brought us menus and glasses of water. She didn't bother opening hers. Instead, she got right to it. "So what's the plan?" "I've already polished my resume," I told her. "I've got a few contacts I can reach out to. I just need a little time." Jenny tilted her head, voice cool as glass. "Time costs money, Blake. We're grown now. People expect a certain lifestyle." "People?" I asked. "Or just you?" She clasped her hands neatly on the table. "Let's not kid ourselves," she said evenly. "I don't date guys who can't keep up. Either you rise to the occasion, or I'm gone." I gave a dry chuckle, not amused, just stunned. "You're actually serious?" She didn't even flinch. 100%. Then she raised her wine glass and said, "If this really matters to you, prove it." I leaned back, calm but firm. "Let's not drag this out." "I'm not proving anything. You've made your position clear." I stood, left enough cash on the table to cover the bill, and walked away. That was the last night I spent in the apartment we shared. For the next few days, I crashed with a friend while figuring out where to land next. Jenny didn't call, didn't text. I wasn't shocked. What she never realized was that for over a year, I'd been quietly building a side project with Matthew, a former colleague. We had developed a lightweight tool for testing email performance. Not glamorous, but effective. It had recently drawn attention from a mid-tier SaaS company. 3 days after walking out on Jenny, the deal was finalized. We signed the acquisition paperwork. They'd purchase the product, pay us out over 6 months, and I'd stay on as a part-time consultant. When I checked my account, the first payment had already landed. I didn't splurge. I just needed breathing room. I signed a lease on a brick-and-beam loft inside a renovated old textile factory. That first night, I sat on the floor with takeout in my lap, eating straight from the box, feeling more grounded than I had in years. A week later, I rolled in my rebuilt vintage Triumph motorcycle and parked it beside the window. On impulse, I snapped a photo, bike in the foreground, city skyline behind, and posted it to Instagram with a simple caption, "New chapter." No hashtags, no announcement about the deal, just the image. Within 10 minutes, the reactions started. The first comment came from Camille, one of Jenny's close friends. "Nice setup, Blake." Big leap. Then a message request popped up from an unknown account. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. It was Jenny. A follow-up message arrived moments later. "I miss us." I took a screenshot and shut the app. The next morning, a text came in. "I know you're upset, but we were good together. Let's not end everything over a bad week." I didn't reply. I was too busy filling out paperwork for my consulting role, opening a new bank account, and enjoying the calm inside my new place. For the first time in a long while, it felt like I was fully in charge of my own life. 2 weeks after settling into the loft, I dropped by a co-working bar I liked for afternoon work sessions. While typing out a client proposal, I heard my name called. "Blake?" I looked up. There she was, Jenny. Polished, poised, wearing a tailored coat and her familiar confident smile, as if nothing had unraveled between us. "What brings you here?" I asked. "Same as you," she said, sliding into the seat across from mine without waiting for an invitation. Trying to get some work done. She exhaled and started in. About that night, I was under a lot of pressure. I didn't mean what I said. "You didn't mean I don't date broke boys?" I asked, keeping my voice level. She winced, but didn't deny it. It was a horrible thing to say. "Seriously? You're just going to throw away 2 years over one argument?" she asked, her voice tight with disbelief. I kept my tone measured. "You were the one who ended things, Jenny. I only respected the path you chose." Her confidence slipped for a moment. "I still believe we can fix this." I shut my laptop, slid it into my bag, and stood. "I don't." That night, my phone buzzed with a notification. Jenny had posted a long-winded message on LinkedIn, tagging me directly. The post painted a picture of loyalty and resilience, praising me for staying strong through difficult times and highlighting the importance of sticking by your partner. My inbox quickly filled with confused messages from coworkers and clients, unsure what to make of it. I called her. "Take it down." "It shows unity," she insisted. "We're not united," I replied. "Delete it." She ended the call without another word. Later that evening, I received another call, this time from her mother, Lillian. "Blake, honey," she began in her usual syrupy tone. "Jenny mentioned you two have hit a rough patch. She admits she overreacted. Young couples go through things. Why don't we all sit down for dinner and talk this out?" "With respect, Lillian," I said, keeping my voice steady, "your daughter made her decision when she gave me that ultimatum. I've moved forward." She hesitated, then cautiously added, "Is this really just about the relationship?" "Jenny said you've made some significant changes. New place, new motorcycle. It's caught some attention." "None of that has anything to do with her," I said flatly. "Good night." I ended the call and blocked the number. That was when I realized this wasn't about reconciliation. It was about narrative control. By week's end, the situation escalated. A new Instagram reel from Jenny lit up my notifications. She didn't mention me by name, but her words made it clear who the subject was. She spoke about betrayal, broken trust, and dreams shattered by dishonesty. One particular line stuck out. "Imagine believing in forever only to find out it was all a lie." The comment section exploded. Sympathetic remarks, probing questions, speculation. Not long after, I got a message from Priya, a former colleague, along with screenshots. "Blake, she's talking about you, right?" I didn't respond. Instead, I made a call to Samuel Ortega, a lawyer someone had recommended. We met the next morning. He reviewed the screenshots without saying a word, flipping through each one slowly. Eventually, he set the phone down. "She's trying to steer the story her way," he said. "The upside? She's sloppy. No direct names, but the implication is clear enough that this could meet the standard for defamation." He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. "Let's send a cease and desist." 1 week later, I received a formal envelope, not from Jenny, but from her legal counsel. The letter demanded full disclosure of my recent finances. The claim? That during our time together, we functioned as an informal domestic partnership, and she now had a right to share in any new earnings. I handed the papers to Samuel. He skimmed through them and gave a soft chuckle. "Palimony," he said. "They're arguing you had a common law financial relationship. It's a weak argument, but we'll respond accordingly." That evening, while reviewing my records, I noticed something strange. Someone had logged into our old shared cloud account. The login came from Jenny's email 2 days earlier. I hadn't used that account since moving out, but she apparently still had access. Several files had been opened and downloaded. Invoice drafts, client agreements, even my current consulting contracts. I dialed Samuel immediately. "She's been digging through my files," I told him. "Then we take this to the next level," he said calmly. "File a police report, change every password, and I'll notify her attorney. Accessing those documents without permission is illegal." The next morning, I went to the local police station and submitted a formal complaint. Sitting in the lobby afterward, statement in hand, the reality sank in. Jenny wasn't looking for closure. She was out for damage. But the report didn't slow her down. If anything, it gave her more fuel. The first public confrontation happened at the gym. I was midway through a workout when I saw her appear on the treadmill beside me. She had her phone raised, camera facing her, tears streaming down her face as she spoke loudly enough to draw attention. "I just want my boyfriend back," she wailed, making sure I stayed in the frame. Carla Morales, one of the trainers, walked over quickly. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disturbing our members." Jenny didn't comply right away, so Carla radioed for security. By the time I finished my reps, Jenny was gone. A few days later, on Saturday, I stopped by the farmer's market for some groceries. She showed up again, this time near a produce stall, speaking loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "He broke every promise," she announced. "Left me when we were talking about kids. Crushed everything we were building together." She gestured toward me for emphasis. People looked over, some curious, some uncomfortable. I kept my head down. I said nothing. I didn't engage. I launched the voice memo app, hit record, and walked off without glancing behind me. The breaking point had arrived during a major client pitch. As I exited the venue, I caught sight of her, leaning against a parked car, phone in hand, filming. "Watch this," she muttered into the camera. "He walks by like I don't even exist." Cold, like a machine. That evening I rang Samuel. "I've got the footage, timestamps, and multiple eyewitnesses," I told him. He didn't hesitate. "Perfect. It's time. We're filing for a restraining order. This has gone far enough." With sworn statements from Carla and 2 other reliable witnesses, the judge signed off on an emergency order. Jenny was now legally banned from being near my office or the gym I frequented. While she unraveled further, my career shifted into overdrive. The acquisition referral landed me 3 solid clients. Within a month, I closed 2 retainer agreements and brought on Priya as my first official hire. We turned a corner of my loft into a shared workspace. Nothing fancy, just some folding tables, laptops, and whiteboards, but it was ours. And it wasn't just work that was evolving. One evening, my neighbor, Dr. Nina Park, an ER doctor, knocked on my door, holding a small plant. "Figured you could use something living in here," she said, glancing at the barren space. By the following weekend, we were having dinner together. When the bill came, she slid her card forward before I could react. "Next one's yours," she said, her smile understated but warm. It felt easy, uncomplicated, real. But Jenny wasn't done. 3 weeks later, I found myself seated at the defense table in a civil courtroom. On the other side, Jenny and her freshly hired attorney sifted through thick folders. She was suing me, alleging that I misled her about our future, that she'd made financial decisions under false assumptions, and that I'd hidden assets during our relationship. Her lawyer spoke first. Ms. Carter declined multiple professional opportunities, trusting Mr. Adams to support their shared future. Instead, he withheld significant income from her. Jenny, dressed in high-end designer attire, nodded vigorously like it was scripture being read. Samuel leaned toward me. "Relax," she walked into a trap. When it was our turn, Samuel stood and laid out the documentation. "Exhibit A," he said, raising the first sheet. "A formal letter confirming Mr. Adams's layoff, part of a broader company restructuring." "Exhibit B," he continued. "A signed acquisition deal with evidence showing all financial transfers occurred after the relationship had ended." "Exhibit C," he said. "Access records showing unauthorized entry by Ms. Carter into my client's private cloud storage." "Exhibit D," he went on. "Screenshots of public posts by Ms. Carter implying misconduct and directly referencing Mr. Adams by name." He placed each document on the judge's bench in a precise, deliberate order. "And finally," Samuel said, holding up his phone, "surveillance and phone footage of Ms. Carter stalking my client at his place of work, the supermarket, and his gym, each backed by multiple witness testimonies." The judge turned to face Jenny. "Ms. Carter, do you dispute the authenticity of these materials?" Her attorney fumbled. "We take issue with the framing, Your Honor." The judge's gaze sharpened. "Ms. Carter, you ended this relationship with a clear ultimatum, which he honored. You cannot now claim entitlement to earnings made after that point. especially not while simultaneously engaging in documented harassment. This case is dismissed. With prejudice, Jenny's expression went pale. But the judge wasn't done. As for the counterclaim, there is compelling evidence of defamation and stalking. I am awarding Mr. Adams $25,000 in damages, plus full legal fee reimbursement. The restraining order will also be extended for 12 months. The sound of the gavel echoed like a final seal. Her options dwindled, mine expanded. After the ruling, messages trickled in. Old friends, casual contacts, even one of her cousins reached out. They all repeated some version of the same plea. She's really struggling. Couldn't you ease up? Maybe waive the damages? Help her get back on her feet? My reply never changed. I sent one line before blocking each number. Please forward any further communication to my attorney. And I moved on. Things accelerated after that. I purchased a modest townhome across the river and reinvested the remaining award money back into the agency. Priya and I expanded the client list, brought on a few more team members, and eventually graduated from the loft to a real office. Nina remained in my orbit, quiet, steady, and supportive. Not in a grand or dramatic sense, but as a gentle constant. When I offered to cover dinner, she'd suggest we split the bill. When I mentioned something Jenny had done recently, she didn't ask for details. She just listened and stayed. She looked at me and said, "You handled it the right way." That single sentence was all I needed. One afternoon, on my way to a meeting with a potential client, I found myself walking past the same restaurant where Jenny had once drawn her boundary. The striped awning still hung over the entrance, and the familiar brick exterior hadn't changed a bit. I could still picture her across the table, wine glass in hand, coolly giving me a deadline, 4 weeks to prove I was serious about my ambitions, or she was out. I stopped for a few seconds on the sidewalk, watching people shuffle inside for lunch. The memory didn't sting. It felt distant, like a scene from someone else's past, not mine. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was an email from Samuel, confirming that Jenny had finally transferred the funds from the settlement. A second buzz followed almost immediately. Our firm had just secured a national campaign, the biggest deal we'd ever landed. I slipped my phone back into my jacket and kept walking, a small, content smile spreading across my face. Her old threat echoed in my mind, but it no longer had any bite. Step up, or I'm leaving. Well, I did step up, and I didn't need her to do it. And if I'm being honest, I was thankful she was no longer part of my life. That chapter was closed for good.